Well, good morning. It's another great day. This is really the second week back from the holiday break, the winter break. And of course, we've had several days of delays and other things with the day that teachers came into work, right? They could work remotely. And as I mentioned, I came in because I had a lot of things to do. Some may not understand that, being an ISS teacher that are in the profession, but things vary from state to state and, and school to school for the most part. But why do teachers teach? Yeah, and why are so many teachers leaving the profession? And why are so many people quitting jobs? Why are people being laid off? There's a whole array of things that are happening in the workspace, right? A lot of violence in school. Teachers are under siege. It can be a toxic environment, right? Trying to get control of these young students, the ramifications that come along with if the teacher or a staff member loses their composure and gets into a physical conflict with the student. The ramifications can be devastating, right? So, but here's why we do it. Here's why I'm doing it. This is why I've done it for years, even when I wasn't in the actual classroom. And I know sometimes people who come in to speak to different schools, I spoke in elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. I spoke at correctional facilities to their staff and did presentations throughout the community for different things. Drug awareness back in the day when it's just say no to drugs. I was calling them to do things within the community. And so, so why do we do it? Is it for the pay? No. But teachers should be compensated for the amount of work that they do, right? And I have been there. Most of my friends were teachers. But yesterday, I get two students coming in, and off to my left and on my right, they knocked on the door and said, "Mr. Couch, we had a project and we had to take this to our favorite teacher." This is why you do, this is the reward, right? It's not monetary. It's not anything that you can actually describe, right? It's that emotion. It's the fact that you're touching someone's life, right? And so these two young ladies drew these two signs. One says, "You're happy," and the other is, let me read it again, is the best ISS teacher ever. Okay, how do I become the best ISS teacher ever? Quite the compliment. However, it puts me in a conundrum, right? But here's the reality with students and children and kids. They know if you really care, right? And my job is to try to transform them or help teachers get back the student that was sent to ISS in a better state of mind and more cooperative and more participating more in their education, right? And valuing that fact. And so we just got back. We're about to start a new grading period. Friday, 17th is the end of this quarter, and we'll come back on next Monday, and it's ML celebration for Martin Luther King's birthday, and there's two teacher work days, which will be Tuesday and Wednesday. But these two young ladies and the amount of students that come back to the door and say, "Hey, Mr. Couch," and they're waving and they're smiling. This is how I feel we're getting through, right? And whenever they can come and show that even though you're giving them all of the rules, the regulations, and telling them, they're trying to get them to correct their behavior, and you're doing it in a stern but loving way, they understand that. And a lot of them, they appreciate it. And so I have this dilemma, and because I don't want this scenario where they want to come to ISS because they like me. Because one of the things I tell them is, look, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here for you to like me. And I love you in the sense that I don't want anything happening to you. I have a grandson. I had a daughter in school once upon a time, and I was assured, because I actually knew the administrator from my community, that she would be protected. And I want parents to understand that teachers are trying to teach their children, and if they're misbehaving, they need them to be a supportive mechanism to reinforce what is being taught or correct the behavior, right? Because if not, they're not going to be able to function in society. And I've been watching some videos and different things on YouTube, and the Gen Z generation in the workplace or have a different mentality. And then you look at the other spectrum, you have older individuals. And so there's going to be a lot of conflict based on employability. Now, with AI coming, well, a lot of people may be threatened and or put in a position where their positions are no longer needed. These students are going to have to be prepared to function, right? And if they are not, then AI really will control the world, right? You do need people. And so it's one of those things where I don't want them to want to come to ISS, because one of the videos I watched a while back was, this professional was instructing about school suspension, and one of her things was that she walked in the classroom and this kid said, well, miss, tell him to get out of my seat. Get out of your seat in ISS. There are no assigned seats in ISS, and if you've been in ISS enough to where you think that's your seat, that is a problem, right? So when these students come in, I move them, because they may have one day, lunch, whatever, 2-3 days. I don't have them sit in the same seat 2 days in a row if I can help it, right? I move them so they're not comfortable. And I don't care how many times they've come back. You will not sit, and they now know when they come up, Mr. Couch, where do you want me to sit? Okay? Because this is the pattern that you have to create. They can't get comfortable with coming to ISS, no matter how much they like the ISS instructor, teacher, or whatever it is. This is not the place for you. I do not give you a grade. We're doing work in here, and it's not just busy work. I'm trying to reinforce what the teachers are trying to teach them and give them discipline, right? But your teacher in your class, in your core, in your period, in your block, whatever you call it, throughout America, your teacher is the instructor, right? And you must give that teacher your respect when they're trying to teach you, right? So I don't want, I'm in a complex where I don't want them to want to come back to ISS. I don't care what how great they think I am, right? This should not be a refuge for you. I had a young lady that I had last week that came back during homeroom, and on her way out, she clapped back at the teacher. Well, me and the ISS teacher are cool. So basically telling her, I don't care, you send me ISS. See that? I don't want that to happen. So I'm conflicted on the fact that teachers and or parents, whoever it is, don't get it twisted. This is not where they want to be. This is where I don't want them. This is where they don't need to be. However we want to slice it, they need to be in their classes. And so I'm trying to get through this, right? Because I really appreciate the love shown, the appreciation that I'm touching them emotionally and getting them to and inspiring them to want to do better, but not to come back to be in ISS. This should not be a runaway haven because they're not getting along with their teachers, right? They must be able to adapt. This is what the Portrait of a Graduate is about in the North Carolina Department of Education. That's what they're promoting. You need to be adaptable, right? So collaboration, right? You need to be able to adapt, collaborate, communicate, and actually function in society. Or everybody's not going to like you, you're not going to like everybody else, like everybody. But it's important that you learn how to get along. Now, I do have videos because the workplace, I've been in the workplace for a number of years, and I've seen a lot of things. I've been a representative for employees, and I understand management's aspect as well, right? If everybody is acting as an adult, doing what they're supposed to do, following the rules, the personnel rules, the student code of conduct, whatever it is, because there's always be some rules somewhere. If you're following those and you're acting in a professional way, there's a way that things should be carried out, decent and in order, as we would say in the church, right? And God is a God of order, right? So I've been watching some videos, people being laid off or terminated, and I posted my version of the true life stories. And I have a lot of them, I could probably tell, from being on personnel boards for a number of years and representing employees as well. And my own encounters with employment, right? So it's important that you are able to function. Now, sometimes you're in a no-win situation, right? And toxic workplaces are just that, right? Emotionally, you can't sleep. It's frustrating. You don't know which way to turn. Now, I watched a video where a young lady was being terminated, and she had not been there very long, and she didn't understand why. But again, they have a matrix, and they're telling her, not giving the answers that she wants, or even making it clear. And I do agree with some of the most of the commentary that the gentleman who created the video is. Why don't they just lay you off? Why don't they just, cut to the chase? Look, economically, we can't afford the position. It's being downsized. There's no need to humiliate individuals, try to drive them out. So perhaps you don't have to pay unemployment insurance, whatever it is, right? Whatever the motive is, why can't you just, sever ties with these individuals? And if it's a money issue, make the cut, explain it to them, and let that be the case. Right? Do not, terrorize, bully. A lot of the things that we have on the student code of conduct, right? Bullying, threats, right? Supervisors, managers, department heads. Look, just do it in a way, sever ties that's professional and as humanitarian or as humane as possible, right? There's a quote that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And some people in any profession, every profession, there's people who probably should not have that position. They don't have the people skills, they don't have the compassion, they don't have whatever it is to connect with people. That's a gift. That's a God-given gift. And so my gift is, and I can't explain it, but young people are drawn to me. My grandson, he just can't get enough of me, and I don't know why. But there's a saying that I've always said, as long as children and animals are not afraid of me or don't fear me or are drawn to me, then the others just don't matter, because adults can be, have many issues and whatever else. But I don't have problems with young people. I'm straightforward with them, and I've been blessed to have the gift to where they seem to understand that what I'm saying to them is not to hurt them. I'm here to help them. And even in my voice, because some students are like, Mr. Couch, are you angry? No, I'm not angry. I don't get angry. I don't get angry with children. And if I got angry, I wouldn't show you, right? I wouldn't give you the satisfaction, because as I try to teach them, once you allow people to figure out what annoys you, they will push that button constantly, right? And so you have to be careful. You have to start to learn how to control your emotions. And of course, we all get angry, or we get frustrated, we get depressed. A multitude of things may be happening in our lives. We don't want to be here. We're dragging, we've got issues, family members, sick, whatever, right? That's part of life. And so again, one of the things I do say in ISS is during our lunch period or lunch break, I allow them, that's the only time that they're allowed to put their head down and meditate, because it's silent lunch in most instances if they're sent here specifically for lunch. And if they're already in ISS, they're going to be in here about 6 hours or more, roughly, during the day, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, right? That's 18 hours, right, that they're with me, right? 18, right? Now think about, they're with their teachers 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and they go to the next teacher. They're getting that transition. They're with me. If they have a full day of ISS, they'll come in roughly about 9:30 after homeroom, make sure they've been checked in, they're in the system of being present, and they're here until probably 3:45 until the buses or the car riders, they're picked up, right? So that's a long time to be with me. So that's a lot of time. And so I give them a full 30 minutes and a little, roughly, to get their lunch. Once we get their lunch, we get back in here. They sit down, they eat their lunch, they'll eat their lunch. And again, I say I'll play motivational videos to inspire them. And that's the only time after they eat. They don't have to be doing their classwork. I'm not going to pressure them to do what are they doing. They can't listen to music still, right? And they can put their head down. And if they happen to doze off or shut their eyes and regroup and reset, right, that gives them a reset. Because being in here with me 6 hours roughly, and or those who may come for silent lunch, will be in here for their lunch break or their lunch period. And then they'll go back to class, or if they've been bounced, which is a term they use here, if they're in class, they'll bounce them to another class to reset if they're acting out or need to settle down. And there are several steps. Parents will then contact teachers will contact their parents and give them an update as to what's going on. And again, I must reiterate, parents, you have to understand and help participate as far as redirecting your students' behavior. It's absolutely necessary. And again, all the student code of conduct is on the webpage. It's public information throughout the country. You go on your student's school's website, and all the information will be there. It should be their parents' rights. Everything's there. And again, it's important that you pay attention to to that information. I know it's probably more reading than you want, but again, this is what needs to happen. So, some of the things I do go over them with is like poetry, and I'll start quoting things just to put it in the air, just to put it in the atmosphere that they've heard this. So, learning is partly doing your own research. So I constantly tell them when they don't understand something, you have the tool at your fingertip, your laptop, you Google, go on YouTube or whatever, and you can learn anything. Education is not just being in school. You can educate yourself. You can be self-educated. Yes, once you can read and write, and the key is to get the students' reading levels up, right? Once you can read, write, then once your mind have a question, when you have a question, your mind is the Google trigger. You just Google it, look it up. I used to have to go and look up encyclopedias and books and whatever. Now it's at your fingertips. You can even ask it audible, right? Ask it a question, and it'll give you, and do the research if you have a question. But I found that anytime I've seen something, a lot of times I'll see it again, relatively short, and then the light will come on. So poetry. The Road Not Taken, right, by Robert Frost is one of the great ones I love, because this also gives them a scenario, the path that you took, right? You're following the path that everybody else is taking. Now, there's some interpretations in this that some people have different perspectives on what the actual meaning is and all of that. I don't get into all of that, but also, To Be or Not to Be, William Shakespeare is one of my favorites. Shakespeare, Othello. I take them sometimes through stages of Othello. Good name and man and woman, dear my lord, are to me the jewel of thy soul. He that flinches from me my purse steals trash, 'twas mine, 'tis his, and been slaved 1,000. But he that robs me of my good name steals much, not enriches him, but makes me poor indeed. I use that with the integrity question, number 3, or number 3, the rule, number 3, integrity. Right, and give them scenarios, and I make these quotes, and I do this, and then I ask them. We break it down just in general conversation. This way, they're exposed to it at a level that is just it's a conversation, right? And if they get in class and they're in literature, all of a sudden now a light will come on, or it won't be as threatening. It's not as intimidating. They hear it coming out of the mouth of a teacher or an adult. All right, Invictus, out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. Right, and so I grew up watching a lot of television. Believe it or not, some of you will heard of these on MeTV. Big Valley is where I first learned about Henry David Thoreau. Jarrett was the attorney, and actually I like law. Jarrett was the attorney, and he made the quote in the situation where there was a dilemma about the property, and it was promised to one of the family's initial settler friends that came in, and so Jarrett quoted a Thoreau, and I like, who is this Thoreau? And this is how it worked. I had encyclopedias. I could go and I looked up Henry David Thoreau because it was like poetry. It just resonated with me, the sound of it, and that's how I got into even quoting a lot of this stuff, right, that I saw on television. And so I know they don't watch a lot of certain television shows, but I'm going to try to introduce them in history, things that go back that just repeat themselves, right? And so the quote that triggered that with Thoreau was, where there is one, there's a majority of one, and when the rights of the majority impose on the rights of the one, the majority shall suffer. And that was just so deep to me as a kid. And I'm talking, I was in like middle school or elementary school, right? So this is how I try to convey to these students, and I tell them the love that I have for them is an agape love. It's not a erotic love. This is a true humanitarian love that I don't want anything happening to them. And in the morning when we're in the hallways, teachers are to come out in the hallways to be seen and or recognize the students or greet them into the classroom. I'm the ISS instructor. Like I said, I'll be going over to the cafeteria in about 5 minutes and clocking in at about 8:15 here. I do all of this before the day starts, and as I said before, I listen to Myron Gold and Leroy Thompson as I come into school to get my day started, to motivate me, and then during lunch, I listen to motivational speeches and a lot of those quotes. And I use also YouTube when it comes to a lot of things that I'm trying to instruct or get them to understand, because I'm a visual learner, and a lot of these students are, particularly if they may have reading issues. The sound and or seeing it and then reinforcing it with the written word is a great way for them to acquire and get the information that's needed. But again, I'm going to sign off. But these two young ladies, right, bringing those drawings in appreciation of me and what we're doing here at school. And I've got to give kudos to the administration here. It's been a wonderful team, and the principal. You know, we're having fun, but we ain't playing. I love to hear that. And so, again, this is another great day at in a middle school ISS teacher, the day in the life of, and all over America. We've got these situations where we're trying to correct our students, and we're doing it in love, but sometimes it goes off the rails, but that's how life is. But again, parents, please reinforce whatever negative comments that are coming in or activities that your students are carrying out, and reinforce and make sure that you follow up to make sure that you let the administration and teachers know that they have your full support, because at the end we don't want our students getting in any trouble, and a lot of things that they're doing, if they are not corrected, they will do in society, and they'll find themselves really in a bad situation, incarcerated. All right? So again, thank you and have a great day.